people. This week we've got Aaron Morgan of Team Brit Racing.
So Team Brit Racing are very unique. We're the only race team in the world made up of a driver lineup with all disabilities. Now that covers both physical disability and neurodiversity as well. One of the things I particularly love about racing is that me as a disabled person, I can go out there and compete and beat the able-bodied drivers in the race, which is something which no other sport can offer. So I had the accident which left me in a wheelchair in 2006. Track I'd done hundreds if not thousands of laps on. It was one of my favourites. But yeah, just one day, a big crash on a jump.
After an accident like that, what egged you to keep on going?
A massive part of that is when I had my motocross crash, I actually stopped breathing for 9 minutes, which made me realise just how lucky I was to still be alive. At that point, I made a pact that I wasn't going to let my disability stop me from doing anything.
So yeah, Aaron, welcome to What's Going On show, mate.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to this one. As I said before, I don't usually do a deep dive on the guests because I want to find out who you really are when I meet you for the first time. So excited for this one. So cool. Little tradition I've got on the show is, well, first of all, let's just welcome to What's Going On show, the show where we shine a light on people doing things in communities. And you yourself are a racing driver for Team Brit Racing. And that is cool. That is a cool feat. Big up for that, first of all. And but cool, little tradition I got on this show. Instead of me giving you an introduction, even though I have a little bit, I'd like to just give it straight over to you. So who in a nutshell is Aaron Morgan?
So Aaron Morgan is a 35-year-old man from Basingstoke, currently competing in the Britcar Endurance Championship in a McLaren 570S GT4 for Team Brit.
Hell yeah. Alright, cool. Well, that's cool. And as I was saying, I don't really know anything about you. So, cool. So take me back then. So, you say you're from Basingstoke there, and you say you're a racing driver, but are you from actual Basingstoke? Did you grow up here?
Yeah, I've grown up here. I haven't flown the nest very far.
Okay, interesting.
So, it's a great town. I really like living here, so it's all good.
Interesting, because I've never been to Basingstoke. I'm from where? Where am I from? Central London I'm from. So coming to Basingstoke was always like, you're going too far west, like past Heathrow. It's like, you know, way far. So I was always intrigued. Like, what was it like growing up in Basingstoke?
Well, you feel like a duck out of water this far west, do you?
Little bit. Now I live in Portsmouth, it's like, quite over.
Really enjoyed growing up here. There's lots of fun things to do. Growing up, I was very keen push bike rider, so a lot of doing motocross as a youngster. I was really keen into my sort of dirt jumps on my push bike. There's a lot of places and opportunities to do that, so it was a really good town for me to grow up in.
Okay, interesting. I mean, okay, so you said you started off on push bikes, sort of that vibe there. So obviously, we're in a wheelchair now. When did that happen and how did it happen?
So I had the accident which left me in a wheelchair in 2006. Obviously, leading up to that, I grew up racing school with motocross, which I started when I was 7 years old on a 60cc Kawasaki. As I got older, the bikes I rode, or as I got older and bigger, the bikes I rode got older and bigger. So I went from a 60 to a 65. Through to an 85, and then the final bike I rode was a 125cc bike. So the accident happened on Good Friday in 2006. Track I'd done hundreds if not thousands of laps on. It was one of my favourites. But yeah, just one day, a big crash on a jump. I would love to tell you what happened, but I don't know because I don't remember. But there is a part of me which is quite glad of that, because it may or may not have been a small or a big mistake, but if you showed it to me and it was a small one, I'd be kicking myself for the rest of my life, thinking, why did you do this? So, if you were to come with me, Aaron, I've got a DVD or video footage, I'd delete it, I'd burn it, I'd do everything I could to not see it, basically.
Fair enough. Well, thank you for sharing that much. So, obviously you're sat here in the Team Brit Racing jersey, right? Now, for a lot of people, after an accident like that, they would just give up. They'd become an introvert. They'd switch off. But why did you carry on? What egged you to keep on going?
So a massive part of that is when I had my motocross crash, I actually stopped breathing for 9 minutes, which made me realise just how lucky I was to still be alive. And upon, obviously finding that out, I then sort of realised that, the being disabled part was the less worse of the two, being so close to dying. So at that point, I made a pact that I wasn't going to let my disability stop me from doing anything. And I mean, I've been incredibly lucky with the opportunities that I had. So when I was really young, my dad was a very keen go-kart racer. So I was often watching him. But then through go-karting, I had a friend who raced a rallycross supercar. So when we weren't watching my dad go-karting, we were often found at the mecca of rallycross Linden Hill, watching John race. John always owned a company that built and maintained his race cars and other customers as well. And after my accident, hospitals are quite boring places, as you may be aware. I said to my dad, can you get in touch with John again? I'd love to go watch him race and whatnot. My dad was a bit hesitant at first, but upon speaking to him, John, they got on like a house on fire again. And we very quickly were back at Brands Hatch watching John race, and whilst we were there, he said as publicity for the merging of his two businesses into the one premises. Funny enough, here in Basingstoke, their workshop now is about 10 minutes from where we are right now. Nice. They'd love to build me a car and get me back into motor racing. So that's where it all started. I had to generate my own sponsorship to be able to race. So things went from there. It's been a long, hard slog to find the sponsorship and funding I need to go racing. But I've been able to do it, and it's something I'm very proud of to come as far as I have, and to have been on the journey which I have.
Big up. So you came that far. I mean, you've got a great support network there. Geez, imagine if you didn't have the support network. Who knows? Who knows? That's big up to them. So, okay, you actually built your own race car, and then you got sponsorship. Now, how, for you, being someone who's obviously in a wheelchair, how was it securing sponsorship for people from organisations, whatever it was, to become a race car driver?
Well, ask any racing driver. Securing sponsorship is probably the hardest part of what you do. It's the driving is the easy part, but securing the funding which you need to be able to go racing is tough. I think as a disabled driver, because we are in the minority, it may be slightly easier, but that's not taking anything away. It's still incredibly hard finding the companies and the partners who are interested in your story enough, and then obviously willing to back your journey as much as you need to. Motor racing is not a cheap sport at any level, so yeah, it's incredibly challenging.
It is expensive, isn't it? One of the most expensive ones. Like, you can't just get a ball and go down to the park, or you can't just, whatever it is, you can't just do that. So, geez. I mean, so where or how then was it going about getting into racing? Because obviously you said you started off on bikes. How was it then making that transition into cars?
Yeah, so adapting from bikes to cars was tough. The principles used on bikes are completely different in a car. And obviously, so I took driving lessons. So for those that don't know, disabled people can actually learn to drive at 16 years old rather than 17. So a popular fact people often have a little laugh at is I had my 16th birthday in hospital and learnt that I could apply for my driving licence whilst I was there. So to me, as a young 15, 16-year-old lad who'd grown up around cars, bikes all their lives, being able to learn to drive was almost like I won the lottery, really. So I actually started having driving lessons from the hospital. So I'd be, I would sort of check myself out of the hospital for an hour, 2 hours, however long my lesson was. So the nurse would come out with me to my driving instructor's car. Obviously, I'd get in the car, I'd go away, do my driving lesson, come back and obviously the nurse would then meet me back there with my chair. So yeah, it's been quite a journey. But like you say, adapting from cars to bikes, having never driven a car, well, having very limited experience of driving a car before I was thrown away straight on the racetrack, did make it probably even more challenging.
Man. I mean, how was it then, the first time you got onto a racetrack in a car?
Oh, it was brilliant.
Was it like all the gear, no idea, or was it like, I'm ready?
It probably was a little bit. But like you say, I was really lucky to have the support I did around me, who were there to help me obviously make that transition, to teach me the new racing lines and stuff that I needed to learn. So yeah, getting back onto the track and adapting to cars was particularly challenging from bikes, because the principles of racing are, well, obviously the fundamentals of racing, apexing and stuff are applicable on bikes, but when you're racing on the dirt, the track develops berms and ruts around the corners, so whereby you can get your sort of wheels into a rut, and it gives you a bit of sort of banking and extra support rather than just cornering on the flat. They develop, which means your lines on the track have to change. Now, being honest, I thought my racing days were over when I was there lying in my hospital bed. I almost was a bit lost. I didn't know where. I had some plans when I was younger. I wanted to join the RAF and be a pilot, but then obviously, as I said, when I'm lying there in my hospital bed, wondering where I'm going to do, thinking, there's no chance I'm going to be able to do that anymore. What am I going to be able to do? And definitely racing. I thought my racing days were over. So to be able to get back in the car, back on the track was massive to me. Really was.
Massive. I mean, yeah, I was actually going to ask that then. So you said there you wanted to be an RAF pilot, but then you obviously got into cars. But take that aside. Say if you didn't have that supportive network, where do you think you would have gone?
You're bringing out the big questions there, aren't you? I've always had a passion for sport, and that's always played a really big part in my life. Growing up, I played a bit of tennis. I was never very good at football. I tried, but was never very good at football. Then in my later years at school, started playing rugby, and was big into my rugby. Obviously, grew up watching motorbike racing, car racing as part of what I was doing as well. So I think I would have been involved in sport in some capacity. What capacity that is, I've got no idea, but I think that would have been the route that I would have gone down.
I hear that. I mean, do they do wheelchair rugby?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could honestly, when I came in here, I thought, do you play this? Like, do you do that as well? I genuinely thought that. I was like, I'm missing the trick. Like, what's happening? Okay, fair enough. So, yeah, so what is it like then? First of all, what's it like becoming a professional race driver then? So, obviously you've got the flashing lights, you got all this stuff, but how do you deal with like the pressure? Like, how do you deal with? Is it pressure?
Yeah, I put a lot of pressure on myself to perform for my team, for my teammates. The racing we do is endurance racing, so there are two drivers in the car, and I as a collective, as a team, as both drivers, we both need to perform. So I put a lot of pressure on myself from that capacity as well, and then also there's. As I mentioned before, very lucky to have some really big sponsors behind me, and incredibly grateful for all of the support they've given me. So there's a lot of pressure I put on myself from that point of view as well.
So for those who don't know, what is endurance racing?
So endurance racing, the duration of the races can vary.
Okay.
The ones I've competed in the past few years, anything from an hour up to 3 hours. So, I mean, in reality, obviously, endurance races, the most famous one in the world is the 24 hours or more. So, we're nowhere near, obviously, that duration. 3 hours to 24 is a considerable difference. But the principles are the same. There's multiple, in the 3 hour races that we did, there's multiple pit stops within the race. Obviously, the car needs to be refueled multiple times, multiple tyre changes. So, there's heavy involvement from the team and the crew. our strategy engineer, and stuff like that as well.
No, I get that. Yeah, because I've started watching, like, I know it's different, but I started watching, like, F1, and it's like, yeah, without the team, it's a team effort. It's like, it's not just the driver, it's the guys in the pit, it's the engineers, all this. Interesting. So, yeah, no, that is interesting. So you say a 3-hour race. What's been your most exciting one?
My most exciting race, probably my proudest achievement in racing is when 2022, Bobby Trundley and I were competing in the British GT Championship, and we went to Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium for the first time for both of us. And so we in that series, there's a GT4 class, obviously. Within GT4, there's Pro-Am driver pairings and Silver driver pairings. That depends on what the FIA or how the FIA classify you as a driver. So Bobby and I were competing in the GT4 Pro-Am category. Now, we started that year obviously rookies in the series, and rookies in the car as well. We'd only owned the car for maybe six months before the debut race, and the first one went to, being open and honest, we were quite a way off the pace of the leaders. But through the first few races of the year, we slowly grew and caught up to the leaders, and then that culminated at Spa when we actually won the GT4 Pro-Am class, and we finished third overall out of all of the GT4 drivers, including the Silvers as well. So that's definitely my proudest and biggest achievement, and I'm sure Bobby would echo that as well.
Big
I would say that it's one of the I'm sure the proudest moments for the team as well, as you mentioned just then. It's an incredible team effort. Everybody needs to execute over the race weekend, from the lead mechanic deciding on the optimum setup for the car, in the series, the way the race is played out, I would start the race as the amateur driver. Did about the first hour, maybe just under the pit stop windows were mandated by the championship. There's about 10-15 minute pit window which you could use, but for the Pro-Am pairings, it's most advantageous for the amateur to do the least, obviously the least amount of time, so the faster pro driver can do the longest stint of the race. Okay. So I did the first 50, call it an hour of the race, and then I came into the pit, but I then need to get out of the car as fast as I can. So, and then back behind the white line, so then the fuel rig can go on the car. The fuel is then put into the car. Once the fuel's in and the fuel rig's off, the car then goes up into the air. The team of the mechanics then change all 4 tyres. At the same time, Bobby is then getting strapped into the car to then be lowered down. Once everything's changed and he's strapped in, to then be released at the optimum time. There's a minimum pit stop time window. So if you're slightly under it, that would lead to a penalty. But obviously you don't want to be too far over it, because every second you lose could then take another 10 laps to make up on the track. And then Bobby implemented an almost perfect stint to hold off a gentleman called Darren Turner, who's a multiple Le Mans winning driver. He's an Aston Martin factory driver. So we all executed on that race, and yeah, definitely one of mine, and I'm sure one of the team's most proudest achievements.
Wow. Fair enough. I mean, talking about the team then, so who are Team Brit Racing?
So Team Brit Racing are very unique. We're the only race team in the world made up of a driver lineup with all disabilities. Now that covers both physical disability and neurodiversity as well. So within the team this year, we've got myself and Noah, who both have spinal cord injuries. We've got Paul Fullick, who's my teammate for the year. He's an amputee from below the right knee. Then in our BMW, we've got an autistic super pairing of Asher and Bobby. And then in the other McLaren, so Team Brit have 2 McLarens and a BMW that they're running this year. We've got Caleb and Noah running the other McLaren as well. So now we use our world-leading hand control technology, which means drivers such as myself, Noah and Paul can all compete on a level playing field with able-bodied racers. Now that's one of the things I particularly love about racing, is that me as a disabled person, I can go out there and compete and beat the able-bodied drivers in the race, which is something which no other sport can offer.
Yeah, that is amazing, isn't it? I mean, so how does it work? Like, how do the cars work then for you, for example? So you get into the car, instead of pedals, what has it got? Has it got like the flappy pedals or?
Yeah, so the paddles which you use in a normal car, which you use to change gear, the one on the right is like a progressive throttle, the one on the left is a progressive brake, and then we've got buttons I operate with my thumbs inside the steering wheel to change up and down gears. So the way I've developed, or the way I found works best for me is whilst I'm on full throttle with my right hand, I'll change up gears with my left thumb, and then when I brake with my left hand, I'll change down gears with my right thumb. I just found for a throttle, accelerating and changing up gear with my right thumb wasn't an issue. That was fine. But when you, as a driver, as you come into a corner, you do a thing called trail braking, which means you hit the brake as hard as you can at first, and then the closer and closer you get to the corner, as you start turning in, you bleed off the brake. But then if I was trying to press the downshift, because of the way your hands work, I was trying to press, and which meant I was grabbing a load of brake that I didn't want as well. So that, as experience tells you, teaches you over time to do the best way and learn. So that's my best method of doing it now.
That's class. That is class. So how fast are you going around this track? What's the fastest you go in these cars?
I don't know. People often ask this. I don't know, because I'm more concentrating on the track than obviously looking at what speeds I'm doing. But we're really lucky to have some great analytical software. There's loads of sensors all over the car, provided to Team Brit by a company called VBox, Race Logic, and so typical speeds we get up to around track. Obviously, the car probably could go faster, but the fastest I've been is around 160, 165.
And in corners, you're cutting them at you see them on videos and stuff, and they're just cutting around corners at ridiculous speeds, like 60 miles an hour and stuff.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know. It's not something. While you're going 100 miles an hour around a corner, you want to be looking where you're going, but not like, I'm going that fast.
Yeah. I mean, do you have a speedometer in the car?
Yeah, there is a speedometer in the car. It's in kilometres an hour though, so it would make it even worse. Thinking that I'm doing 200 or how many kilometres you're doing. Right, okay. So how many is that in miles an hour? Trying to do the conversion, but. Going fast around the corners is the most fun. Anybody can press the throttle down as hard as they want and go fast down a straight, but the skill is maintaining that speed around the corners.
That's fascinating to me that you don't look at a speedometer, and I'd love to know how many other drivers don't look at it. Is it a pointless bit of kit? Who really cares? I mean, do you really need it? Do you know what I mean?
we do need it. There's a speed limit implemented in the pit lane, just for safety reasons. So obviously we do need it for that.
So just for pit reasons.
Really?
Fair. I didn't know that. So did you get your own steering wheel as well? Is it one of those it comes out, you put it in? How does it work, or is the car built around you?
So there are a number of ways. So the Team Brit have developed their hand controls from the ground up. To be able to work, but they've done it so they're as adaptable as they possibly can be. So in the car I'm racing, or call it in 2022 racing Bobby. So Bobby's autistic, so I could operate the car fully on hand controls, and then Bobby jumped in the car and still used the foot pedals, just changed gears using the buttons as I did, rather than maybe a normal racing driver with the flappy paddles. So there was no modification to the car needed at all. But saying that, Noah and Caleb this year, Noah uses full hand controls as I do, but in their pit stops they change the steering wheel over, which means Caleb can then use the pedals and then uses flappy paddles to change gear. Now the Team Brit have done this, or made the controls the way they have, because our goal is to be the first all disabled driver team to race in the Le Mans 24-hour race. And by having the controls as adaptable as they are, That means we're opening ourselves up to the biggest driver pool, obviously, that maybe we need to. So the car can be driven fully on hand controls, or Paul this year drives on a hybrid, so he uses the hand throttle, but because he's still got his left leg, he uses his left foot to brake. So as I mentioned, he uses a hybrid of both hand control and foot pedals. But then the car can also be controlled with fully foot pedals, just a slight adaptation to the way changing gear needs to be made, or the steering wheel can be changed over very quickly as well.
Oh, fascinating. I mean, okay, when I came in, I mean, you yourself quite a strong lad, you know, and I'm like, how do you keep fit then? Are you put on like a strict regime by the team? Is it like you gotta eat greens and all of this?
No, we're not put on a strict regime, but I do as I mentioned before, I'm very into sport, so I do train a lot. Where that's a mix of doing cardio. So I'll go out just around the local estate, just in my chair, just on a little push, or go into the gym to do some weights, or I also use. I don't know if you know the assault bike they have in gyms. I just go, obviously rather than using the pedals, I go around the other side of the fan. I just do like arms only.
Oh yeah.
It's flipping hard work, so I don't do too much of that. But keeping myself in good physical fitness is a bit of a double-edged sword. So it means obviously I can do really do well in my racing. There are some people that just think, oh, you just sit there and you just turn the wheel, but it's an incredibly more physically demanding than that. We obviously a few years ago had stories of Jenson Button being a very good triathlete to obviously complement his Formula 1 racing, but at the same time being able to maintain sort of good levels of fitness in my arms means as a disabled person I can maintain a really good quality of life, whether that's jumping on the sofa to watch some TV in the evening, transferring into bed at night, transferring into my car to be able to do the things I need to do on a daily basis without tiring me out too much. So it means I can maintain a good quality of life that way as well.
Valid. Makes sense. Does make sense. Do you kayak?
No. Alright. I would like to kayak. It looks great fun, and I've seen. I went on holiday a few years ago down Plymouth way.
Yeah.
And was just out exploring, just on one of the beach areas around there, and saw some kayakers just down there. I was like, I wish I was doing that. So maybe in the future it might be something I get into.
Oh yeah, well, you could explore loads. I remember we used to do it on the Thames, and we used to go all the way up, and it was like bloody hell. But anyway. Yeah.
Also, I used to as a kid as well. There's a pub not too far away, and just off the side of the pub, you can hire a kayak out from this little place and go up and down the Basingstoke Canal. Obviously, it's not quite on the scale of the Thames, but yeah,
probably cleaner than the Thames.
maybe not. But yeah, used to as a kid, so maybe something I'll pick up again in the near future.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Okay, so cool. That's Team Brit Racing. So you've been a career-long race driver. So you're basically a professional athlete, in a way.
Semi-professional.
Semi-professional.
I still have a full 9-to-5 job.
Okay. Cool.
Working and then racing is my hobby.
Interesting. So yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So how often do you race? I know we spoke off camera, but how often do you race?
So our races are typically once a month between sort of late March, early April through to sort of late October, early November. Just to follow the sort of obviously the weather patterns here in the UK. We have been quite lucky to go to Portugal for a few pre-season tests. Obviously the weather out there is a lot better, so we go mid to late February, where the weather out there by their standards isn't great, but it sort of mimics maybe the mid to mid 20s that we'll get to here in the UK during the race season. So by being out there at that time in them conditions gives us the best preparation for the season ahead, or hopefully the conditions we'll get here in England, but obviously that you never know that whether that will be true or not.
Yeah, England is something else. Sorry, girl. So yeah, that's interesting. So you have a full-time job next to it. That's what I was going to say. So yeah, what do you think? I mean, how long is a race career? How long do people race for?
Well, we've seen in recent times, obviously, race careers are growing. I think Michael Schumacher, I can't remember. Michael Schumacher obviously retired from Formula One and came back in his, I think it was in his 40s. Obviously, we've got Fernando Alonso carrying on into his mid 40s, and Lewis Hamilton is in his early to mid 40s as well now. Obviously, that's Formula One level. That's the peak of the peak. At a lower level, like mine, I think we can see people racing to their mid to late 40s, even early 50s. Maybe their performance level will drop, unless they're a freak of nature. But yeah, we'll have to see how long mine will last.
No, that's fascinating, because I was just wondering, like back on linking it to the keeping fit, the exercise thing, because obviously you can't, I don't know, but can you say you go on a food bender and you put on like loads of weight, are you still allowed to race, or is it you have to be a certain weight?
No. You're still allowed to race. It puts you at a disadvantage though. There's a minimum weight the car needs to be as part of the championship regulations that we compete in. They do a thing called balance of performance. So they try and keep all cars and drivers as level as they can. So obviously it promotes good competition. If one car was most advantageous in the championship, then it would put me off knowing that I was fighting for second or third every weekend. I go racing to win. So knowing that I was second or third would be the best place that I could come based on other cars' performance in the race. That would really demotivate me from going racing and stuff. So they do that, but obviously if I was put on a load of weight, then it would put me as a driver at a disadvantage. But as you said, as we covered, then just from a minimum weight point of view, but obviously from a physical fitness point of view as well, it would make it a lot harder for me to race and be a lot more unfit as well. So.
You said there you race to win, and I hear that.
Yeah.
So, and I remember you saying earlier that you're really hard on yourself, quite hard on yourself. So what happens then how do you feel when you come second?
Not great. Well, if you know that there's an opportunity to win and maybe you didn't execute or you didn't do your perfect job, then it kind of obviously you can do a lot of post race analysis and work out what went wrong. But if it's just a simple thing, then it does put a lot. I do put a lot of sort of pressure on myself not to do that again, and give myself quite a hard time about why did you do that sort of thing. But every failure, every mistake, if you want to call it that, is a lesson. So just trying to learn from it and be better next time.
No, I get that, because I was just going to say, like, how do you let it go? How do you let it go? Do you just say it's a lesson, or how do you do it?
Yeah. Unfortunately, a race is a race.
Yeah.
And once it's done, there's nothing you can do to change it. As I mentioned, then just do better next time, really.
Valid. Okay, cool. So, what are we to expect next from you?
Next from me. So, been racing GT4 machinery now since 2020. So, 5-6 years of racing GT4 machinery. Now, as I mentioned before, the team's ultimate goal is to be the first all-disabled driver team to race in the 24 Hours of Le Mans. And in order to do that, we need to race GT3 cars. So, fingers crossed, the next step for me would be to make the step up to GT3 cars. Now, that will take a lot of, obviously, financial investment from myself and the team and other drivers within the team. So, despite Team Brit being the only disabled driver team in the world, we're not a charity. We do operate exactly like every other race team in the world, where we are a commercial entity funded by sponsorship and supporters. So, as the team has sponsors which help subsidise the cost of our racing as drivers, but we still need to bring money into the team to be able to race. So it'll take a big commercial investment from everyone within the team. There will need to be some upskilling within the team as well, jumping from a lower level machinery into a higher one. But having had 5-6 years of GT4 experience, it's definitely a step we as a team are ready to make. And so I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, keep working hard through this winter in order to make that a reality.
Hell yeah. Well, yeah, no, cool. Well, Aaron, that brings us to a lovely close on this part. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll just jump straight to part 2 of me. Do you think there should be a motorsport division for disabled drivers?
I think, yeah, like, why not? That's a great question, actually, isn't it? Because I feel like if it's a driver with a disability but they're driving at the same level as someone without, can't they just be in the normal one? But then we've also got things like Special Olympics and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think shining a light on people like disabled motorsports drivers would be great and be fun to watch. But I also feel like they're probably skillful enough to compete with people without disability. So I don't know. As long as the pay is fair, do you know what I mean? That's the most important thing. So, but yeah, I'd watch it. It'd be cool to watch, I guess.
Do you think there should be...
A very interesting question, and obviously the guy is quite on the fence as well, but I'm not. There shouldn't be a disabled class, as I mentioned in part 1. Using Team Brit's welding and hand controls, it means as a disabled driver, I can control the car as well as the able-bodied drivers in the race. You know, just in my fingertips, I can have fingers on the throttle, on the brake, button on gear up and gear down all at the same time. So, you know, if I'm going on straight, up, and then or something happens, a brake down, and I can do everything right here. And a question I often say as well is, once I get in the car, I leave my wheelchair behind in the pits. So in some respects, or to me personally, it feels like I've left my disability behind, because I'm then in that car and I can control the car as well as every other driver in the race. It's all mental then, and in my ability to control the car. So, yeah, I wouldn't want to see a disabled only racing championship. But that, and there's not enough active disabled drivers out. There'd be about 3 or 4 cars in the race. There really wouldn't be a lot.
Wow. Interesting. Okay, that's fair point.
Let's carry on.
Be a motorsport division for disabled drivers.
What do you mean by disabled drivers? Like,
So people with like a physical disability.
oh right,
Like,
yeah.
you know, you've got like the Paralympics. Do you think there should be a division for disabled drivers?
Fuck yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see that. I love I love how popular wheelchair basketball's getting. I don't know what the official name is, but that's really sick. Anytime there's a
Sorry, do we want to start this again? Is it the same question to each person all the way through?
Yeah.
Right. Do you want me to, rather than stop, answer at the end?
No, you can honestly. You can crack on. It's easy.
anytime there's a
Feel free to react.
I don't know. I just think that whenever I meet people who are like disabled, I've got like deaf family, and they're always like hilarious. So I'm sure there'd be a really good time on the track. Yeah.
Do you think there should be a motorsport division for disabled drivers?
Yes, because I think all people with, less access to things, they should gain more support, regardless of what it is.
Yes, yeah, I'm a big fan of motorsports.
Okay, do you want to expand?
Well, I mean, I've got a motorbike already, and I've never seen a disabled motorbike race. I don't think they even make motorbikes for people that So, if there are adaptations that could be made to them or to cars, everyone's got the same right to be able to race. It doesn't make it any less interesting,
Yeah, of course.
It's just that comment just shows that there's not much awareness of disability motorsport, which is really sad. I mean, obviously people have heard of Nicholas Hamilton mainly, what heat racing he has done in the British Touring Car Championship. Also, Billy Munger is the other big one as well. But obviously, despite the levels of publicity both of them drivers have had, and maybe we as Team Brit have had as well, that people still aren't aware of it. That gentleman there said he didn't know about disabled motorbike races, but they are out there. I know of a disabled rider who raced on the road. I know of a friend of mine still races motocross. So adaptations for the bikes are out there. Obviously, they just control everything with their hands still, and their legs are then strapped to the bike rather than obviously just left wobbling around. And then obviously for us, the Team Brit, we've got our hand controls, which mean that we can compete on a level playing field. So
Interesting.
see what more we've got.
Because disability people, I don't mean they're not able to do things that humans should be able to do. Like, my uncle was disabled, tattooed on my neck, couldn't walk, couldn't talk. So I'd like, if he got to do stuff, then yeah, like, I also done my work experience in school as I done my work experience in school as a fucking, disabled, like, you know, the daycare centre, you know, like a nursery, but for disabled adults.
Yes.
So where their parents can't look after them. I done my work experience there. And yeah, I just really bond with disabled people. I feel like they need to be heard. Even if they can't speak or can't walk, they still got their own life to live.
Hell yeah.
Maybe.
Why maybe?
Not really sure.
Interesting. Why? What are your thoughts, just on the spot, no pressure?
About motorsport.
Yeah, like disabled drivers, and should there be more provisions given to them?
I guess so, but then if you can't reach the pedals and things, then what are you going to do?
Interesting. I think they have modified cars. It's quite interesting.
Seems safe.
Interesting. Well, do you think there should be a motorsport division for disabled drivers?
Should be a motto?
Like a motorsport division. So you know how you've got the Paralympics?
Yeah.
Do you think there should be the same for like drivers who are disabled in like...
Yeah, if they want to, yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Cool. So you made your comments.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
I mean, the encouraging thing is that, you know, the people in the video, they all said they'd love to see more disabled people get involved in the sport, which is something, as I said, I'd love to see more people in the sport. It's given me so much over the years. So to see other people get that level of enjoyment, and as I've kind of covered before, you know, that ability to compete on a level playing field with able-bodied people, which, as I mentioned, as a disabled person, is not something you get. You know, but if you I played wheelchair tennis for a little bit, whereas, you know, if I was playing you, obviously you get your one bounce, I get two. But I wasn't great at wheelchair tennis, but, you know, I found it very difficult trying to play with my able friends because I just wasn't quick enough getting around the court, really. But whereas in a car, I can go out there, I can have all the fun in the world with my friends, as mentioned many a time, on a level playing field. So yeah, like I say, the encouraging thing is that people are interested in it and would love to see it more, maybe. So it'd be great if there's a way to get more disabled drivers on TV in the public spotlight, so people can see and learn about what is possible, and maybe the reasons why me and other disabled drivers, the ones within Team Brit, and there are others out there as well, why we love it so much.
Interesting. How do you think you could raise the awareness then of disabled drivers?
It's just a level of education, really, isn't it? You know, maybe if stuff like this was covered at school level, or just in more mainstream media around the community. As the guy mentioned in the video, he'd never seen a disabled motorcyclist and stuff like that. So if stuff was covered more, then obviously that level of education will go up.
Interesting.
I think since London 2012, obviously I've heard stories, people are more interested in the Paralympics there than they were the real Olympics. So there is within the population, there is a big interest in Paralympic sports. Not that I class racing as a Paralympic sport because we're all out there competing together. But there is an interest in it, which is nice.
No, I get that. Because also, on that bit of a side note, really, I read somewhere that because of like the car modifications, it can be seen as an unfair advantage. But what are your thoughts on that?
Unfair advantage. I'm not sure what to comment on that. I think you'll always get, if people see someone doing something differently, there'll always be a difference in opinion on it. But I don't see it gives us an advantage at all. No, we're just controlling the car in a different way.
Hell yeah.
I mean, some people I've heard before that you do have more dexterity in your hands than your feet, which maybe means we've got more control over the accelerator and brake pedal than maybe it would be your feet on the pedals. But I don't think it gives us an advantage, no.
Fair. No, well, I'm really intrigued in hearing your point. Okay, cool. So that was the video. Yeah, the main takeaway then is just there needs to be more awareness around Team Brit Racing, around disability, disabled racing drivers, and what is out there for people. But yeah, any final words?
No, I just want to say thank you very much for having me on the show today. It's been a great pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, likewise.
And I look forward to this going out.
Hell yeah. All right, well, thanks, Aaron. Yes. And yeah, man, finally enjoyed that. All right, cool, that's a wrap.
Wicked.
Happy days. Happy days. Happy days.